Hello, good morning. I hope that you are all well. In Cornwall today, the weather is miserable. It's a dirty old day. It's raining, it's windy, it's misty, and the sky is heavily overcast. And I've got to go and walk my dogs after this video. That's the good thing about dogs. They make you walk no matter what the weather is. Because it's such a dark and dingy day, I thought we could fill this video with some colour to cheer us all up. But before I start, I must focus to begin on Lilly, because last week we released Lilly and I couldn't believe when I went to edit the video that I had forgotten to talk about Lilly the little girl. So I'm going to look at Lilly and talk about her first. Now, the original was stitched on 28 count fabric with wool, and I stitched the model on 56 count linen with a Versoir 103. And I'm really thrilled how the reproduction came together. We were able to get a very good match to the original linen, and I think that even though the model is much smaller than the original, it really captures the spirit of Lilly's sampler. You can stitch your version of Lilly on whatever count linen you want, and the little PDF download has the conversion for the wool, the Versoir 103, the d'Alger and the DMC. The choice is yours. I was so thrilled this week to see Lilly being stitched by Bobby, who is just 12 years of age, and Bobby is being taught by her grandmother Linda, who is an amazing needleworker. It really made me so happy to see a child learning how to cross stitch. And Lilly, you know, this is a perfect little sampler for a child to learn how to stitch, or an adult. She is just all cross stitch over 2, and she's an easy one to count out, and because she's only small, she's very achievable as a first sampler. But do you know what? I'm just as proud of stitching this sampler as I am of a complex reversible band sampler. And I've hung Lilly already in my home, and because she's small, she fills one of those spots that are hard to fill. We all have those little areas of our home that needs something, but it's very difficult to find something the right size. Once this video is over, she's going to go back on the wall in my breakfast room. Now, Lilly, the little girl. Well, we know quite a bit about her. Lilly was born, or rather I should say she was baptised in Bromsgrove, Worcestershire in 1878. But by the 1881 census, she can be found living at 21 Newmarket Street in London in the parish of St Pancras. And I believe that the family moved to this area because her father was employed by the railway company, and it was the Midland Railway Company that had built St Pancras station to serve the towns and the cities throughout England, in the Midlands and the north of England. Now, Lilly, she stitched her sampler in 1887 to commemorate the Golden Jubilee of Queen Victoria, and she put Jubilee on her sampler. And a Golden Jubilee was a very special occasion. It really was. And you know, the country was very patriotic So this was something to celebrate, that the Queen had been on the throne for 50 years. And you can imagine that children in school, the teachers would have focused on this Jubilee and the importance of this. And the children would have learnt about the monarchy and about the empire. And they would have all done something to commemorate it. And you could imagine that Lily, as a little girl, would have been stood on the pavement, jostling to see the Jubilee procession going past, waving her little flag. Now, in 1891 and the 1901 census, Lily can be found living with her parents, and this time at 33 Marquis Road, Camden Town, London. The family were on the up. They were doing well. And we know that Marquis Road was a street of Victorian houses built of London brick that boasted wide pavements that were planted with trees. The house was 2-storey with a basement. Now, on June the 3rd, 1905, Lily married James Henry Thomas in St Paul's Church, St Pancras, and his father was a ship owner and he himself was a warehouseman. But we know by the 1911 census that James was then a commercial traveller selling lace. And the family, which comprised of James, Lily, their 3 children, which was Olive, Howard and Myrtle, lived with Lily's parents at the Beeches, Cranbrook Road in Ilford. And this was a very well-to-do area. Cranford Road had shops, but then it went into a residential area. So the family were doing very, very well. And what was really nice was that when I found the 1911 census, we can see that Lily completed the census herself. So we have a sample of her handwriting and her signature. Lily lived until she was 80 and she passed away in the September of 1959. So she lived through the First World War and the Second World War as well. In a few months' time, the 1921 census will be released, and I will make a point of seeing where Lily was and what we can tell from the 1921 census, and I will report back. I have a list of lookups for the 1921 census that relates to the samplers that we have reproduced, plus my own family history as well. So if you would like to stitch Lily, this PDF download is available on our website and from selected needlework stores as well. Many of you have already downloaded her, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you. It's been a very busy week for Hands Across the Sea samplers. The PDF downloads, they have been a godsend during this year. On Monday, I drove past our post office and there were over 20 people queuing, socially distanced, waiting to go into our post office. I try and avoid my post office because it's so small and I'm just worried about the virus. Okay, I promised you colour, so I'm not going to really talk about the sampler behind, but this is such a beautiful, colourful model, and this sampler was stitched by Judy Hall and it's being released next year. It's beautiful. But that's all I'm telling you for now. I'm being a tease. Many of you have seen me stitching Amy Fisher. Well, I finished Amy in the week, and I would have finished her Friday night, but I fell asleep whilst I was stitching. And I woke up and I had these 4 letters left to stitch, and I was so tired, I thought, oh, I'm going to finish a Saturday. So yesterday evening I sat down, I put these little letters in, and there she was finished. If you remember, I stitched the border first and then I worked my way up rather than down. I really enjoyed stitching Amy. Her colours were beautiful to work with. Here they are. Such pretty colours, really lovely. I went to the framers at the beginning of the week, and because I had stitched the border, I knew what size backing board I wanted, so I already had the backing board. So last night I laced Amy, and I will be taking her to the framers on Tuesday. Now Amy has two little funny anomalies on her sampler. She protruded here and here, and then the frame on the original covers these, so I'm going to frame her the same way, and I shall obviously work on her and release her in the new year, so the next time you see Amy she will be framed. In our papers are filled with doom and gloom. It's all about the virus, and it's all about us exiting Brexit with no deal. And it's worrying because our government is advising our supermarkets to stockpile food, so people are panic buying. A few things that I needed to source this week I couldn't get. I wanted to get just for example, I wanted to get another dog coat for Hugo because he's growing so quickly. And I searched and searched and searched to find somebody that had the coat I want in the size I wanted. In our cottages, one of the visitors accidentally broke a bedside light, and trying to get a bedside light in a particular combination I wanted proved to be impossible. Everything was out of stock. I am so glad that I have a good stock of silks and linens, and I have a good stock of frames. I actually asked my framer to get in 50 metres of moulding for me. I know it sounds extreme, but mouldings for framing predominantly come from Italy in this country, and I'm so worried that I'm not going to have the frames that I want for my samplers. Anyway, this week I had some linen come to add to my stash, and I restocked foxtail millet from Legacy Linen. I love this colour and I love using this linen. It's 45 count, so I've got a really nice supply of this in. But I also had some new colours come, and this is a really lovely colour. This one is also in 45 count, and it's called Wild Birdseed. Lovely colour, a lovely warmth to that fabric, and it feels delightful in the hand. It really does. And then there is a matching colour in 38 count called Brewer's Malt. So for those of you who would like to stitch on a slightly lower count, that is a really, those are two great matches in colour. And what you'll find with Legacy Linen, each version has a different name. So though those are the same colour, the name determines the count. So we have Wild Birdseed in 45 count, and we have Brewer's Malt in the 38 count. And then there was another colour called Nightingale. I love how they think up these colours. That's a really lovely colour. That was 45 count. So there's a little bit more linen to go into my stash, which I'm very relieved about. Now, my new start. Because I finished Amy very quickly last night, I only had those 4 initials to stitch. I sat down, I laced whilst I was watching Strictly Come Dancing. That then left the rest of the evening, and in the afternoon I had started to chart my next model, but because I haven't finished her, I don't know what size to cut my linen. Now, she's not going to be anywhere close to this size, but I wanted to stitch her out before I cut the linen, and I've got to be honest, I'm expecting her to be about this size, but you know, I don't want to waste my linen. I want to cut it sensibly. So this afternoon I'm going to do a little bit more charting so that I get the width and I will get the length of the sampler. Then I will cut my linen, and this will go on an appropriate sized frame. I had to put this whole piece on my biggest bars. This linen is by Linen and Threads, and it is a colour called Hog's Bristle, and this colour is absolutely perfect for the sampler that I am reproducing. I love the vintage effect that Linen and Threads have achieved. It's subtle, but you know, it gives this linen this beautiful aged look. So as you can see, I've stitched a couple of alphabets before I retired for the evening, and this sampler uses only 4 colours. Very, very pretty colours. Look at that. And I'm not going to say any more at the moment. I'm going to be wicked and tease. But when you find out the genre of this sampler, you are going to be really surprised to see this type of sampler with these colours. But this is a true reproduction. The original is a very, very rare example of this type of sampler. There we are, I'm being very wicked. In the post this week, I had a gift, and this was completely out of the blue, and it was a wonderful surprise. And the colours on this project bag are a great match for my new project. So my new project is going to live in here, and this was from Rose Heck. And it is so well made. It's beautiful, and I was so thrilled. And there was a lovely little message from Rose, and I adored how she has put on there a little magnetic Scrabble tile for me to use as a needle minder on my project. So I'm going to be using that on this project, and also there is a lovely little scissor fob on here, which I can add to my scissors for the project. So thank you so much, Rose. It was a delightful surprise to receive this. I've been a very lucky girl this week, actually. The postman has brought lots of goodies. Nothing else for me to show you because the rest is non-needlework goodies, but the postman has been very, very busy. I think that's about it for today. I hope that everybody has a good week. Oh, hold on a second. Hugo. Hugo is delightful, and Bertie Boo and Hugo are inseparable, absolutely inseparable. They sleep entwined, and you know, when you feed them, if you put one food bowl there and one food bowl there, they end up together. Hugo is enjoying every new experience. He loves being out and about. He's very sociable. He loves meeting people. He is just a delight. He really is a very loving, affectionate boy. And if he carries on the way that he is, you know, he's going to be a fabulous dog, just like Bertie Boo. We feel so blessed. Our little family has grown that much more, and the dogs, they fill my day with so much love. They really, really do. And I know that you love seeing photographs of the dogs. I have so many emails about the dogs. Okay, I am going to wind the video down now. Have a good week, and I look forward to touching base with you again next weekend. Until then, stay safe, stay well. Bye-bye.